Healthy eating starts in the kitchen. Hello, my name is Winnie Chen, and I am a registered dietitian. Today, I'd like to talk about a low cholesterol diet. A low cholesterol diet essentially is a diet that is low in animal saturated fat, low in trans fat, and also a diet that is high in fiber. Keep in mind that this diet's purpose is intent to lower the lipid profile, such as your total cholesterol level, such as your LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, your triglyceride level, and also to increase your HDL, which is the good cholesterol. A low cholesterol diet is also part of a heart healthy diet, which requires lifestyle changes such as weight reduction, stress management, regular physical activities, quit smoking, quit alcohol drinking, and also avoid food that are high in sugar and high in sodium. So for this video only, we're gonna focus specifically on food that are low in fat, low in cholesterol, and also high in dietary fiber, so that the lipid profile can be improved. Everything I talk about today is for general information only. If you need some specific guidance, please consult your dietary consultant, such as your registered dietitian, for specific advice. So let's begin by talking about a low cholesterol diet. So when we talk about a low cholesterol diet, the first thing that it comes to mind, people want to know is, well, what are the foods that are high in cholesterol? So the food that are high in cholesterol, including your egg, including your shellfish, including liver, including also food that have a lot of fat in there. But it's also turned out that more and more research have shown that it's not so much the cholesterol food that you eat that really matters. It's actually the amount of saturated, in particularly animal fat and trans fat that you consume that matter the most. So for this video, we're going to talk specifically on how we can cut down the animal saturated fat, trans fat, and also how we can increase our fiber in the diet. So let's begin talking about food that are rich in animal fat. And food that are rich in animal saturated fat, including your fatty meat, such as your sausages, such as your steak with marbling in there. So the marbling basically is this white part. So the more marbling you have on your meat, the fattier it is. So that's why when people want to follow a low cholesterol diet, they tend to go with turkey, they tend to go with skinned chicken, and they also tend to go with lean fish. But if you really like to steak, as long as you choose the lean cut, which has mostly the red part, it should be okay. And just also keep in mind that everything is all by moderation. How often you consume the red meat, how much you consume the red meat also matter. If you just consume like 1 to 2 ounces, I think that should be okay and should be incorporated into part of your diet. If you really want to cut down your red meat, maybe twice or 1 time a month. Okay, so let's talk about other food that are high in animal saturated fat. Well, in addition to the red meat, I think that your fast food is also a major category. Your hamburger, your hot dogs, your frozen burrito. So actually these food not only are high in animal fat, saturated fat, they also high in trans fat, which is another category that we need to avoid. So essentially trans fat is what we call artificial fat that are produced by mankind, and it's not healthy for you. So when you wanted to avoid, so that when you follow a low cholesterol diet, it's also very important you follow a diet that's low in trans fat. So what are the foods that are high in trans fat? Typically your processed meats, your sausages, your bologna, your bacon, your frozen TV dinners, your fast food, even your chips, your commercially prepared, individually wrapped cake and pastry sandwiches. Typical those things not only have a lot of saturated fat, it also has a lot of trans fat. So when we talk about fat, I think a very important thing is to read the labels. Nutrition facts label can be found in all the products that comes in a bag, that comes in a box, that comes in a can. So it's very important that you read these nutrition labels. So to read about the trans fat, to read about the saturated fat. Now, I also want to mention something about the plant fat because the plant fat is a little bit different from the animal fat. So it could be high in saturated fat, but actually the plant fat has also shown to help to improve your lipid profile. So what you really wanted to do is still have your plant fat, like your nuts, your seed, your almond butter, your peanut butter, as part of your lifestyle, but just limit the portion. Like things like peanut butter, 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons is pretty reasonable. Or your nuts, a quarter cup of your nuts also can be included as part of your heart healthy diet. Now, what about eggs? There's been a lot of talk about eggs. If you are an egg lover, I would say definitely switch over to egg white. But if you just eat eggs maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you definitely can incorporate a whole egg as part of your diet. Again, everything is about moderation. How often you consume it, how much you consume it, it all really takes into account. Okay, let's take a moment and also talk about food that are high in fiber. A diet rich in fiber removes the cholesterol from your arteries, so it lower your cholesterol levels. So what are the food that are high in fiber? Well, there's 3 categories. Number 1 is your whole grains, such as your breakfast cereal. And it could also be your brown rice. It could be your whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, or it also could be your barley, couscous, and quinoa. So that's your whole grain category. I usually recommend people to have these whole grains breakfast cereals that has at least 3 grams of fiber per serving for breakfast Monday through Fridays. You don't necessarily have to have oatmeal. There are different type of hot cereal that are high in fiber. So as long as you look at the nutrition label, it has about 3 to 4 grams of fiber per serving. You're guaranteed that you're getting a really good source of fiber into your diet. What are other sources of food that are high in fiber? Well, bean. Bean is also a very good category for fiber. Typically, half cup of beans contain about 6 to 7 grams of fiber. So this is actually an excellent source of fiber to be in part of your diet. You can add beans certainly to your salad. You can also make a bean soup, or you can also make a chili that has a lot of beans in it. So having more beans, about half cup into your diet, is also a really good option. So another source of fiber is your vegetables, especially your green leafy vegetable, such as your kale, your spinach, your cauliflower. But I would say that, if you don't like those, just having all kinds of vegetable into your diet also help. Typically, I recommend people to have 1 cup of cooked vegetable and 2 cups of salad into the diet. If you are a small person, a small frame person, under 5 feet, usually I recommend about half cup of cooked vegetable and 1 cup of salad. If you are working with a client with impaired chewing ability, that where they don't eat raw vegetables like salad, I usually recommend just 1 cup of cooked vegetable per meal. Let's talk about fruit. Well, fruit, again, is also another excellent source of fiber. Usually, I recommend about 1 cup of fresh fruit per meal, which means your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 1 cup of fruit also is equivalent to half cup of canned fruit. But obviously, if you can have more fresh fruit, that's even better. Okay, I also want to take a moment and talk about what we call the good fat, the omega-3 fatty acids, which could be derived from your plant fats, such as your nuts and seeds. It can also be derived from your fish. Having fish 1 or twice a week could be incorporated as part of the heart-healthy diet. Keep in mind that plant fat, even though it's a good source of fat, it actually helps to improve the lipid profile, but because they are usually caloric dense, and usually people on a low cholesterol diet need to reduce weight. So you need to consider the portion sizes as well. So things like peanut butter, usually I recommend no more than 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. Things like nuts, I usually recommend about a 1/4 cup a day. Okay, so in a nutshell, a low cholesterol diet is a diet that is low in animal saturated fat, low in trans fat, and also a diet that is high in fiber. It is part of the heart healthy lifestyle changes, which means that you also need to consider physical activity, stress management, weight reductions, quit smoking, alcohol, and avoid food that are high in sugar and high in salt. Thank you so much. And part of a heart healthy diet is about learn how to read the food label so that you can make better informed choices. I have one video just designated on how to read the food label. I also have a video specific addressing a diet low in sugar and a diet low in sodium, and I welcome you to also take a look at that as well. Thank you so much, and see you next time.